Hello and welcome to this episode of Packet Tracer. In this episode, we want to navigate the physical workspace, so let's get started. Remember that the physical workspace is a physical representation of your topology. In the physical workspace, we have a few levels of navigation. Here I am in the Intercity, and let me go to the navigation panel. As you can see here in the navigation panel, I have the ability to navigate to different levels of physical workspace. We have different levels such as Intercity, City, Building, and Wiring Closet, and I can jump to each one of them directly from here. For example, I want to jump to Main Wiring Closet, so I can go and jump. Now here I am in the Main Wiring Closet. You can see that my current location is displayed in here. Now let's go back. Using this button, we will go back a few levels up to the Intercity level once again. We can use this navigation tool, or we can use click on each of the objects to navigate through them and navigate back using this button. Here I am in the Intercity level, and I can create some new objects such as a new city. Now I've created a new city, and in here I want to create a new building as well, so I can create a building as well. Remember that I can create a city inside an Intercity, but I cannot create a city inside a building because the volume of the city is way too bigger than the office building and it will not fit. So in the physical workspace, we also have a sense of volume for each object. Now let's move this office building to the city. We can use this move tool to move this office building to city. Here's home city, which is this one, and city, which is this one, but I want to move it to the city, so now it's moved to the city. You can see that I have the office building here in the city. Let's go back and maybe change the name of the city to something more specific, such as New York City, so that it's more specific. I can move back this building once again to the Intercity level using the move object once again. Once I click this tool and click on the object, move it to Intercity, and now it's moved to Intercity once again. We also have the ability to apply grid on each level of the physical workspace, such as Intercity, City, Building, and if we have any generic containers, we can apply grid on any of them, any of the physical views. And we can also select the color for the grid. Let me select a nice color such as red, and let's go and apply, and the grid should be applied by now. We forgot to select these views. We need to select for each one of these views the grid that we want to be applied. Now if I click OK, the grid is applied here in this level and also the other levels that we specified. We don't have the ability to apply a grid in the main wiring closet. Let's go and turn off the grid. We also have the ability to change the background for each of these objects. Maybe for the New York City, I want to go to inside the New York City and I want to change the background for this object. Let's browse to my computer. I have a picture here, and select the picture and apply, and as you can see now the picture is applied to this view. Now let's go one level back, and as you can see the representation has also changed, which looks very nice and beautiful. Let's go to the logical workspace and create a few devices. Here we have the networking devices, so if I create any of these networking devices such as routers and switches and hubs, and I want to create a few non-networking devices such as PC or server or a laptop. Now let's head to physical workspace and see how they are created in the physical workspace. Corporate office, As you can see that the devices that are not rack mountable, they are created in the corporate office. But if I go to the main wiring closet, the devices that are rack mountable, they are created inside the rack. Let's zoom in. You can see the switch, the router, they're all created inside the rack. We also have the ability to create more devices directly here in Physical Workspace. Let's create another router. This is an industrial router, maybe a simple router. You can see that we can create the devices directly here in the Physical Workspace. We can also create end devices directly here in the main wiring closet, but for them to be able to fit, you need to have a table, and as you can see, the table was created automatically for me. I have the ability to create additional tables here using this button. Now I want to place a laptop on the other table. The cabling and making connections in Physical Workspace works the same as the Logical Workspace. So let's see how it works here in the main wiring closet. If I zoom in a little bit more and I go to the connections and I select a cable, now I can select one of the ports in here and one of the ports on the switch. Now this connection is created for me. Let's go and head back to the other views. Here I am in the corporate office and I can make a connection in here too. And that's it for this episode, everyone. I hope this has been informative for you, and I would like to see you in the next episodes. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to this episode of Packet Tracer. In this episode we want to go to the Physical Workspace and try to bring some changes and modify the Physical Workspace. The first thing that we can do here in the Physical Workspace is to add objects to the workspace, and that is by adding a new city, a new building, or a new generic container. Let's add a new city and name this city New York City. And let's create a building and name this building My Office Building. Now I want to move this My Office Building to the New York City because currently it's located in the intercity, but I want to move it to the New York City. So I will use this Move tool, click on the tool, my cursor will change to the Move tool, click on the object that I want to move and select the new location from this list, which is the New York City. Move to New York City, and now as you can see here I have this in the New York City. Here in the New York City, I can also change the background of the view to something that's more interesting. So let's browse for an image. I have an image of world map on my computer, so I will select it. Now I can apply it, but before that, you can see that each one of the physical objects, they have some physical properties such as width, length, and height, and volume, and you can change many of these aspects. Now let's apply this new background. As you can see, I have this background, and if I go back to the intercity level, the representation of the city has also changed. We also have the ability to apply grids on many of the views that we have. So I want to apply a grid in the city level, and I want to select a good color for it, maybe this color. Okay, and if I go to the city level, either the New York City level or to the home city level, my grid is applied. Now let's go back and delete these new created objects, and we can do that by using the delete tool. Now I have selected the delete tool. I can click on this tool. I can either uncluster it or I can delete it. First, let's uncluster it. You can see that the city was deleted, but the objects inside the city was not deleted. Now, if I click on this one and delete it, then this object will be deleted altogether. Now that object is deleted from the physical workspace. And that's it for this episode, everyone. I hope to see you in the next episode. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to this episode of Packet Tracer. In this episode, we want to discuss structured cabling here in the physical workspace so that we can have a more realistic representation of cables in the physical workspace. Let's get started. First off, I want to create a few bend points on these cables. Now you can see that using bend points, I have more flexibility to move these cables in different ways. If I try to bring one bend point on top of the other, then we have a group point. Now this black cable represents a group of cables. I can create a bend point on that black cable as well by double-clicking on that cable. Now an additional bend point is created and I can move this group of cables all at once as if it was just one cable. Now let's go and color code each one of the cables so that we can differentiate between each one of them. For this one, I want a red color. You can see that each one of our cables have their own color at this time, and we can differentiate between each one of them. Remember that a group of cables is always represented by a black cable and we cannot really change that. Now I want to ungroup some of the cables. I will come to the delete tool, I will click on top of this cable. As you can see that I have the ability to ungroup cables one cable at a time, or I can ungroup all of them at once. You can see that I mistakenly deleted one of the cables in this group. Let's ungroup one of the cables first, and we can move the cable from there to here. Now you can see that the cables are ungrouped. Now let's delete all of the bend points and make the cables straight. You have to be very careful, otherwise you might delete the cable itself. Let's go and create another bend point in here, almost in the middle. And let's check the information about this cable. You can see that we have the source device information, the destination device, and we also have the cable length and the total cable length. The cable length is from one bend point to another. So from here, from PC0 to this bend point is called the cable length. And the total cable length means from PC0 to the next device. If I come here, you will see that the cable length is 12, and for this cable it is 14, but the total cable length is always 27 meters. I can move this device far away and increase the cable length. Now you can see that it's 81 meters. Let's zoom out a little bit and bring this device even further. Now you can see that the connections have gone down. You can see the red triangles, they represent a down connection. It is because the cable length has become more than 100 meters, and you know that for copper cables we have the limitation of 100 meters. I can control the effect of cable length by coming to the preferences and disabling this preference, enable cable length effect. Now it will have no effect at all and the connections are up once again. And that's it for this episode, everyone. I hope this has been informative for you and I would like to see you in the next episode. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to this episode of Packet Tracer. In this episode, we want to talk about the physical and logical workspaces and how is the relationship between physical and logical workspace and how do they interact and correspond to each other. So let's get started. As you can see that I have a wireless router in here and I have a laptop, and the laptop has associated to the wireless router and it's connected to the wireless router. Now if I try to bring the wireless router far away from the laptop, it does not disconnect from the laptop because in the logical workspace we don't have a representation of distance. So wherever that I bring these devices, either close to each other or far away from each other, it does not have any difference. In contrast, let's go to the physical workspace. We are here in the home city, and if I go to the corporate office and inside the main wiring closet, you can see that the laptop is right next to the wireless router. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see the laptop is right next to the wireless router, and of course the wireless coverage of the wireless router is enough for the laptop to receive it and be connected to it. Now let's move this laptop somewhere far away so that the wireless coverage is not available there. Let's move this laptop from here to the home city. Let's navigate to home city. Here you can see that the corporate office is almost fully covered with the coverage of the wireless router. Let's go one level up, and here you see that inside the home city, this is the area of the coverage of the Wi-Fi access point, and we have our laptop in here. Now you can see that the laptop is out of the coverage from the access point, and let's go to the logical workspace. You can see that in the logical workspace we don't have that connection available anymore, and the wireless connection between the laptop and the wireless router is disconnected. Now let's go and bring this laptop to an area where there is enough Wi-Fi coverage for the laptop to receive, and you will be able to see that the connection will establish once again. Let's just wait for a little bit. And that's it for this episode, everyone. I hope this has been informative for you, and I would like to see you in the next episode. Stay tuned.